Good afternoon. I would like to ask you, my fellow World Campus students, for 5 minutes of your time, so I may talk to you about a great bond we share. Al Gore delivered a speech in Bali in December of 2007. While illustrating the successful delivery of the rhetorical situation utilized within this speech, I will also share with you our common bond. Al Gore delivered a speech of vast importance eloquently and successfully. Through the analysis of former Vice President Al Gore's speech, I will illustrate the ways in which Gore fulfilled all 4 necessary requirements for the deliverance of a successful speech: speaker, occasion, audience, and speech, as defined by our text. I will also educate you briefly about global warming and what the world is going to do to stop it. On December 3, 2007, Nobel Prize laureate and former Vice President Al Gore spoke to delegates of 190 nations on the island of Bali. The United Nations Dispatch reported the speech to be electrifying by all accounts. Al Gore was invited to speak at the National Conference for Climate Change in recognition of his recent Nobel Peace Prize. An effective speaker must build for himself a positive ethos. Gore creates for himself a crowd-pleasing ethos, as he states with honesty, "I am going to speak to you an inconvenient truth." Gore acknowledges the climate control problems we are facing, stating earnestly, "My country is responsible for obstructing the progress here in Bali." Gore continues to build a positive ethos, igniting the audience's eagerness to take on this task of stopping global warming. Stentorily he commands, "We are one people on one planet. We have one future. We must pursue it together." Gore has shown himself to be a leader that will take this country into the right direction. The occasion for this speech was deliberative. Deliberative speeches are focused on the future and are often concerned with what one should do. The deliberation in this case was the future of our planet. Exigence, as defined by our text, is a problem that cannot be avoided but can be solved. Gore's solution to this exigency: we can't afford to wait another 5 years to replace the provisions of the Kyoto Protocol. The Kyoto Protocol, as defined by the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, is the protocol that sets binding targets for 37 industrialized countries to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. The Kyoto Protocol was adopted in Kyoto, Japan on December 11, 1997, and entered into force on February 16, 2005. During Gore's speech, 177 countries had ratified the Kyoto Protocol. The majority of this 11,000 capacity audience were supporters of Gore, but not all of them. He still had countries to convince. Part of the success of a speech depends on the reaction of the audience. The speaker's job is to identify with the audience and make them active listeners. The audience listening to this speech received a speech from a focused and passionate Gore, as he begins this riveting dialogue by announcing, "We the people face a planetary emergency." There is not a statement more conducive to creating a tenacious bond between the speaker and the audience than "we the people." Gore continues to identify with his audience, stating, "It is up to us in this generation to see clearly and vividly exactly what is going on." And what exactly is going on, according to NASA, is that overall warming will melt glaciers and the polar ice caps, raising sea levels enough to damage many low-lying islands and cities around the world, changing weather patterns, agriculture, and promoting expansion of emerging diseases. Gore calls upon the audience, making them active listeners, urging the audience to take steps to ensure that we move forward from Bali with progress and with hope. The speech must have purpose and include interesting and memorable examples. The purpose of Gore's speech was to persuade the delegates of 190 nations to modify the Kyoto Protocol. Gore utilizes the problem-solving method when organizing his speech. Tells the audience the problem: the accumulation of greenhouse gases continue to trap more and more heat from the sun in our atmosphere, which is threatening the stable climate balance. Gore then presents a solution: we can't afford to wait another 5 years to replace the provisions of the Kyoto Protocol. Gore provides the following interesting and memorable passage. One of the victims of the Third Reich states, "First I came for the Jews, and I was not a Jew, so I said nothing. Then they came for the gypsies, and I was not a gypsy, so I said nothing." And he listed several other groups, and with each one he said nothing. Then he said, "They came for me." Gore also quotes the great Spanish poet Antonio Machado, "Pathwalker, there is no path. You must make the path as you walk. There is no path from Bali unless you make it. We have discussed the 4 major criteria when delivering a successful speech: speaker, occasion, audience, and speech. Al Gore demonstrated the 4 essential criteria when delivering a successful speech. As a speaker, he was a reputable man whose presence was one of passion, dignity, and earnestness. The speech was constructed of facts, made entertaining, and delivered with clarity. The occasion was one of planetary importance. The feedback after Gore spoke was a standing applause from nearly 11,000 delegates. 5 countries have ratified the Kyoto Protocol since December 7, 2007. There is no better proof of efficacy than change. Thank you.